As you guys know, I've done some videos about what psychologists do in terms of all the different variety of jobs that they can do, but I have to admit that as I was doing some of this research and seeing what some of the things that these psychologists were doing, I was really thrown off and confused and kind of like bewildered that there are psychologists that are doing some of these jobs. What is up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Phil Sarpon. This is Phil's Guide to PsyD. This channel is dedicated to all things psychology, wellness, and graduate school. Today is going to be a fun video, guys. We have a question about some of the most unusual jobs that a psychologist will do. Without further ado, we're going to go into 6 unusual jobs that I've never heard of psychologists doing. And maybe there will be some jobs that you guys would have heard of, or maybe you actually may know someone who has done this job. All right, so the first unusual job that I did not know about was a circus psychologist. There's a psychologist named Madeline Halle who works at a circus. In 1998, she began working on an as-needed basis at this circus and then started to incorporate some performance psychology into its training program. After earning her master's degree in sports sciences with an emphasis on coaching, along with a PhD in sports psychology, this is part of what she does for her work. Now, I wanted to bring this up because I think this is actually so cool that overall, I mean, she is a sports psychologist, but she's using her sports psychology, so her knowledge and her information of what it means to be performative, whether as an athlete or as a CEO of a company or whatever it is, she's utilizing those same principles and applying it to a very performance-based industry like the circus. At the end of the day, this is really a sports psychologist who is using what they know about sports psychology in the performance industry of being at a circus. All right, the second thing that I did not know, or that I thought was unusual that a psychologist could do, is a rocket science strategist. Now, that name itself sounds really fancy. So a psychologist named Paul Eckert works as an international and commercial strategist for the Boeing company. He helps experts bring their ideas to life. And for instance, he actually works with engineers and business experts on the technical and economic issues of creating a human space capsule that takes both NASA astronauts and private participants into space. He's using information and the guidelines and the principles of organizational psychology to be able to implement it in this business, in this industry as a rocket science strategist. And I think, again, that is so cool that you can take psychology and you can apply it to rocket science. All right, we got Google psychologist. I'm gonna butcher this name. I apologize in advance. Dawn Shaik is a human factors psychologist at Google. She conducts studies for Google's web fonts team and is working on a tool that will help people pick the best Google font to use for their websites. She also works with a team that's creating fonts for less industrialized countries, and she began working at Google as an intern and then became full-time in 2007. Again, I think this is so cool that a psychologist could be working for one of the biggest companies in the world, working in an industry basically, again, very connected to industrial or organizational psychology. I've mentioned before in past videos how I think technology is going to become even more and more prevalent in the psychology profession. And I think this is one way that this is actually taking place. All right, number 4 is a psychologist and filmmaker. Clinical psychologist Nadine Vaughan sees clients during the day and produces films, writes screenplays, and authors novels at night. All right, so basically this person is doing both things, being a filmmaker as well as being a psychologist. All right, so number 5, we have a traffic psychologist. What exactly is a traffic psychologist? Dwight Hennessy is an associate professor of psychology at Buffalo State College. His subspecialty is traffic psychology. It's an emerging field that studies driver behavior. Hennessy has published research papers on everything from road rage to the impact of commuter stress on workplace aggression to drinking and driving. And this reminds me a lot of community psychology in terms of using psychology in a social implementation aspect, right? Using your knowledge of what drives people, how people react to different things, how people socialize, the differences between frustration, aggression, how aggression takes place, why people get angry, how does aggression mix with road rage. All of those different things are actually really, really interesting. And I love that this person has taken that niche and used it to his advantage in being able to give research to why some of those things are happening as a traffic psychologist, which he's using his expertise to give society and to give local organizations and to give communities an understanding of perhaps how to fix those issues, right? All right, guys, the last one is a parapsychologist. I did not know what a parapsychologist is. I've never even heard of a parapsychologist, but what a parapsychologist is, Dean Radin is a senior scientist at the Institute of Noetic Sciences. He studies the highly controversial psi phenomenon, which includes ESP or mind reading. He worked at AT&T Bell Laboratories on advanced telecommunications and conducted experiments on psi phenomenon. I can only imagine that there will be more opportunities and more creative job outlooks for psychology in the future in terms of what people can do and basically utilizing and combining their passions together to create something completely different, something so creative that we have never even seen it before. If there was anything on that list that you guys had no idea about, I didn't really know about any of those things, but if there was something that maybe you found was really interesting or that you had heard previous things about, I'd love to know in the comment section below what your thoughts or your opinions are. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I will see you guys in the next video.